the story of what is called the prodigal son. And we're going to do that last week and then today too, and take that in a little different place. So I want you, as we begin this gathering together, to hear this word. First, can you understand me okay in this mask? Because later I'm going to switch, but okay. A man had two sons. After asking that, I'm going to switch myself now. Something about it for me that I can't do. So Jesus told the story about a man who had two sons, and the younger of them said to their father, "Give me the share of the estate that is coming to me." So the father divided up the property between them. And some days later, the younger son gathered up all of his belongings and went off to a distant land. Here, he squandered all his money on loose living. And after everything was spent, a great famine broke out in the land, and the son was in great need. So he went to a landowner who sent him to a farm to take care of the pigs. And the son was so hungry that he could have eaten the husks that were fodder for the pigs, but no one made a move to give him anything. Coming to his senses at last, he said, "How many hired hands at my father's house have more than enough to eat, while here I am starving? So I'll quit and I'll go back home and say, I've sinned against God and against you. I no longer deserve to be called one of your children. Treat me like one of your hired hands." And with that, the younger son set off for home. While he was still a long way from home, the father caught sight of the returning child and was deeply moved. And the father ran out to meet him, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. And the son said to him, "I've sinned against God. I've sinned against you, Dad. I no longer deserve to be called one of your children." But his father said to one of the workers, "Quick, bring out the finest robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet. And take that calf that we've been fattening and butcher it. Let's eat and celebrate. This son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, and now he's found." And the celebration began.
Would have given up on me by now. Would have labeled me a lost cause, 'cause I feel like such a lost cause. If I were you, I would have turned around and walked away. Would have labeled me beyond repair, 'cause I feel like I'm beyond repair. But somehow you don't see me like I do. Somehow you're still here. You're the God who stays. You're the God who stays. You're the one who runs in my direction when the whole world walks away. You're the God who stands with wide open arms. Tell me nothing I have ever done can separate my heart from the God who stays. Used to hide every time I thought I let you down. Always thought I had to earn my way, but I'm learning you don't work that way. But somehow you don't see me like I do. Somehow you're still here. You're the God who stays. You're the God who stays. You're the one who runs
God, our Creator, you give breath to each person you made. You value the gifts of each unique person. But when life becomes a burden rather than a gift, God of life, hold us. When darkness strangles our will, when days become endless nights, God of light, shine on us. When no one seems to understand, when we walk and wait alone, God of love, embrace us with your presence. Where there is despair, bring hope. Where there is shame, give value and worth. Where there is emptiness, bring fulfillment. Where there is suffering, bring healing. God of hope, we pray for life. I want to ask a question today that I really, again, for anyone who's not been with us very long, but most of the time I don't ask a question that's rhetorical. You get kind of used to that where, preachers or worship leaders would do that, but I'm asking you for answers. So here's the question. So let's imagine that there is a party going on. It could be across the street. Maybe it's at a friend's or a relative's house, and you're invited, but you don't go. Why not? What holds you back? Maybe even from joy. But what would be a reason you would not go? Okay. It may not be safe. Yeah. Okay. Just tired. Okay, you don't want to really deal with some of the folks. Mhm. Okay. What you might think of as fun or what you want to be doing is not what they are, different than them.
But just like generalized anxiety.
General sense of anxiety. Mm.
Just like an impending sense of doom.
Yeah, an impending sense of doom. Yes. We'll see if you just wait, it all works out, right? Sure. Yeah. Maybe you've been hurt. Kind of hold that.
Will you come and follow me if I but call your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Will you let my name be known? Will you the world around. Sorry. Through my sight and touch and sound in you and you in me.
Hear these words that were written by Valerie Bertinelli in her latest memoir, Enough Already, Learning to Love the Way I Am Today. She tells this story. She said, about a year ago, after an online cooking demonstration, a friend of a friend reached out to me about a difficult situation. At 60 years old, she had finally met a man who she said was the love of her life, and then he was diagnosed with neck and throat cancer. It had just happened, and they were gearing up to fight it. She asked if I could connect them to my former husband, Edward Van Halen, so they could get the latest and best information on where to go and whom to see for treatment. Ed knew quite a bit about this particular type of cancer from his own long battle with the disease. I was happy to help, she said. But something about my tone of voice must have hinted at my own troubled state of mind, because at the end of our conversation, in a tone of voice that was slightly softer and more intimate than before, she said, "Hey, if you need to talk," and she gave me her number. I thanked her, but I later wondered which of the issues bothering me she had heard in my voice. And I thought, no way. I'm too private. I don't know her that well, and this stuff I'm thinking about is all too personal anyway. Then I caught myself. I went on the Today Show and sobbed my eyes out. I shared my heart on Instagram. Why was I putting up walls? Consider the walls down. Let's talk. I've been on a journey with many of you since I was a teenager. I've dated, married, become a mother, divorced, remarried, battled with my weight, and struggled with my self-esteem and mental health. I've also become an empty nester, helped my mother and father through their golden years, and said tearful goodbyes to the people closest to me. I suspect all of you reading this book have gone through many, if not all, of these same issues. I feel like we've done it together as we've grown up. For you, this may seem like a new message from me. I see it as a deeper understanding of what I was and still am trying to achieve. In the past, I've shared my efforts to lose weight and encourage many of you to do the same. I set certain goals, believing that I would be happier once I lost those 10, 20, or 30 pounds, or whatever the number was at the time. And then I hit a wall. I was about to begin 2020 resolved to lose 10 pounds, the same 10 or so pounds I've been trying to lose for more than 40 years. And one day, as I embarked on the same morning path from bed to bathroom to scale, I stopped, I looked at myself in the mirror, and in a before coffee moment of sanity, I said, no, stop. I can't be doing this again. And I didn't. I've come to realize there's no magic number. The scale doesn't light up and set off bells and whistles the way a slot machine does when you hit the jackpot in Las Vegas. The thing I've been looking for can't be quantified. I want to feel true joy inside. And that's very different from wanting to feel thin or see a certain number on the scale. These days, instead of controlling what I put into myself, I'm trying to embrace the many choices I have. My previous books have reflected the mindset of someone who always felt broken. I looked in the mirror and saw flaws and imperfections. I was always trying to fix something about myself. I was always telling myself no, or don't, or you were bad today, or you cheated. Why couldn't I see the best of me instead? Why couldn't I see all the good things about myself? Why couldn't I bring myself to say yes?
The voice of this song is that of God speaking to us.
Was there to hear your warning cry. I'll be there when you are old. I rejoice the day you were born to see your life unfold. I was there when you were but a child, with a faith to serve you well. In a blaze of light you wandered off to find where demons dwell. In the Middle Ages of your life, not too old, no longer young, I'll be there to guide you through the night, to see what I've begun. When the evening gently closes in, and you shut your weary eyes, I'll be there as I have always been, with just one more surprise. I was there to hear your warning cry. I'll be there when you are old. I rejoice the day you were baptized, to see your life unfold.
Recently, I was talking with a friend who was telling me that his partner was raised in the charismatic church. And my friend, like me, was part of a conservative evangelical church where I remember my experience, and we were sharing that it was his as well, that you didn't dance, you didn't drink, you didn't listen to rock music and play cards or games with dice and things like that, all those kinds of things. And my friend just recently came out later in his life. He's in his 50s too, and was now living with his boyfriend I mentioned, and owning who he is as a gay man, learning to express that in himself, which was denied expression for so many decades. And he mentioned that it was difficult to dance. And he wasn't as free as he thought he might be. And I said, that's me. I've never really felt like I've been able to do that. It's just, I've tried. And I said, I've thought it's because I just can't relax enough or let myself get out of my head and just loosen up. There's this thing that I shouldn't do too, for decades. And then I reflected, I said to him, for both of us, we were not encouraged by the church to express joy. We were not allowed to just be and to have fun and to just relax. It was also intense. To be righteous meant to be stoic. The church, for us, as we talked that day, diminished our joy and our spirits and freedom to express those feelings. Hear the rest of the story that Jesus told that day. Meanwhile, the elder son had been out in the field. So the younger son had taken his inheritance, spent it all, came back home. His father celebrated with him. But there is another son, older than this other brother who had gone away. So he was out in the field, working away. And as he neared the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. And he called one of the workers and asked what was happening. Isn't that interesting? And the worker answered, "Oh, your brother is home. And the fatted calf, that one has been killed because your father has him back. And he's safe and he's sound and everything's okay." And Jesus went on to say, the son got angry at this and refused to go into the party. But his father came out and pleaded with him. And the older son replied, "Look," telling his dad, "for years now I've done every single thing you've asked me to do. I never disobeyed even one of your orders, yet you never gave me so much as a kid goat to celebrate with my friends. But then this son of yours," notice he's not his brother anymore, "this son of yours comes home after going through your money with prostitutes," embellish the story, "and you killed a fatted calf for him." And the dad says, "But my child, you're with me always, and everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and rejoice. This brother of yours was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, and now he's found." So in this story, the son who took all the money and ran away from home returns and is welcomed by his dad with open arms and restoration. And as I just mentioned, there is another character that is as important, and some people think the story is actually about him, the older brother. The older brother gets really angry at the father's reaction to his returning lost brother. The older brother tells his father that he has worked for him all these years. He's never got a party. For those of my age, you would know when I say he's the Rodney Dangerfield of the story. I never got a party. We're not told much about this older brother. So let's just play with him for a moment and just kind of see where that goes. I find that can be really insightful. Let's make him very human, because he is. Why do you think, non-rhetorical again, that he was angry? Just think about all the layers of that. Why might he be angry? Yeah, so he didn't feel important for following all the rules, and the other one didn't follow the rules and ran away and then was celebrated. Okay. Jealous. His little brother got to do whatever he wanted, and here he is working away. Yeah. Yes. The child acting out is usually the one who gets attention. So he's like, one more time, here's my brother who probably acted out all of his life. Mhm. What else? Yeah. Jeff. Mhm. Yep, the wealth is diminished, the brother wasted it, and it's gone. It's not going to come back that quickly, no matter what they say. Oh, yes. Family standing is down because of his behavior. Mhm. Yeah, what else? Mhm. Right. Just really messed up that whole works for reward expectation. No, but we can play with that. So maybe some dynamics between the two brothers, surely. Yeah. Yeah. So whether we realize it or not, I mean, I think for many of us, our biggest share of identification may be with the older brother, the one who never did much of anything wrong, who worked away in the field, who took care of the home fires, right? He was the one who followed the rules, kept his nose to the grindstone, the Jimmy Stewart character in the Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life. Every time you turn around, his younger brother's having all the fun. We may have moments when we would like to take the money and run. We all have moments when running away looks like the best solution. And the elder brother just kept working, thinking somebody else would thank him. Someone would notice, someone would give him something, right? And recognize his faithful diligence. For some of us, we've been encouraged by an unhealthy religious teaching to suppress joy, even. Maybe that was true for him. I kind of thought about that when I thought about this character in the story. It wasn't righteous, maybe, to, in his mind. It certainly was not a problem for his dad, but to show excitement or to be frivolous or just to have fun for the heck of it. We may have been taught to believe in a harsh, angry God who expects us to be perfect, and this God uses shame to coerce, and if God doesn't, others do in God's name, and it's that shame that we carry around. And in shame, a person wants to disappear, they want to hide. There's a painful self-consciousness, so painful that you don't want to risk asking for anything because you might be noticed or turned down, and which would reinforce the bad feelings you have about yourself. Maybe the older son didn't really believe that he deserved a party, even though he talked that way. He thought he wasn't good enough for a party, or by his dad's actions in some way felt that way. That's why he just kept on hoeing and, in the field and working to prove that he was good enough. And maybe he'd been in his younger brother's shadow all of his life. We've kind of mentioned all these things. He threw himself into his work to get noticed. Maybe wanted to be noticed for sure by his dad. And the shame that's widespread in religious culture comes from a distorted image of God, which suggests that God really hates us and doesn't think we're good enough or could ever be good enough. That idea I mentioned before, Colby Martin does in his writings, that God both hates us and loves us at the same time. That's messed up. And we end up with flawed images of ourselves, thinking that we're unworthy, we're unlovable. So the healing of the elder brother has to do with remembering who God, represented by the Father in this story, is. So the Father is the one who is present, the one who's waiting, the one who's watching, full of joy, forgiving, and loving. Just as the Father's love had driven him out of his house and down the road to welcome home his younger son. So the love the father feels for his older son, again, did you notice that? Pulls him out the door and into the fields to be with him in his anger. For quite a while, the father pleads or asks his son to come in and join in the festivities, but the older boy will have none of it. Maybe to ease the older son's anxieties, the father does carefully let him know that it is to him, the elder brother, that everything else remains, the goods and properties all belong. But his words also assure that older brother that the special place he holds in his father's heart is undisturbed still. Makes me wonder if the father was like that what is it the son is not believing about that or hearing in that? But what's most shocking about this parable is how it seems to celebrate grace, even at the expense of justice. That younger son didn't deserve the party, didn't deserve the welcome, we might say. I mean, he made his bed, deserves a lie in it, that kind of thing. But he and the older brother, in spite of their actions, got grace and love instead. There's a prayer that's going to appear on the TV behind me that I'm going to invite you to pray silently as you see it.
'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Colby Martin, in his book, The Shift, says, I remember adamantly telling Kate, his wife, in the midst of one of our fights, I can't do it. I just can't. I can't be the person you need me to be. It's too hard. When I shared those words with my therapist, she calmly but sternly said, Colby, I want you to consider reframing that. I think it's not that it's too hard for you. I think it's too scary for you. I resented her already, he said. And she went on, it's not so much that you can't do it, but that you're afraid to. Her words plowed uninvited into my gut, as truth has a way of doing. I went into my therapist's office that afternoon as Colby, but I left as, well, I guess my name is still Colby, but you get my point. A radical transformation took place inside me, and when I finally uncrossed my legs and stopped spinning my ring and let myself open up, my journey toward a new self began. When we learn to accept ourselves just as we are, such self-love renders us undefended in the face of conflict. We no longer need to fight to be seen, strive to be valued, or hustle for our worth. Your old self has for years developed ideas and beliefs about who you are, who God is, and how you fit within your religious community. And identity has been built, and evolving beyond that identity threatens the you who got you there. Your old self panics as fear and shame come online and need to be acknowledged, addressed, and eventually overcome. Likewise, shame wants you to believe that you can't do it, that you don't have what it takes. Shame wants you to turn around and go back home, believing you are unworthy of love and belonging. You had to be perfect. You had to be perfect, and shame thrives in those conditions. Whether you're just beginning your journey or you've been on the road for a while, we all must face those moments when we battle against an older version of ourselves who resents growth. When those days come, may you remember that fear and shame don't stand a chance against love and trust. Your new, more expansive and inclusive self is wholly loved by God, just as you are. And may you discover a trust that the God who brought you up to this point has not and will not abandon you now. Like a parent over their child, God cheers you on as you grow.
Come out of sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh sinner, come heal. Earth has no sorrow if heaven can't heal. Earth Sit at the table, come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, a rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can cure. So lay down your burden, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your faith. Wander home, you're not too far. Lay down your head, lay down your heart, come as you are. Come in her arms, come as you are. Joy for the morning, oh sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can give. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can give. So lay down your burden, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your faith. Wander home, you're not too far. So lay down your head, lay down your heart, come as you are. Come as you are. Come as you are.
The bread of life for all who hunger, and the cup of compassion for a broken world. I invite you to come forward as Linda and I get in place to serve you, and I will take a piece of bread and dip it into the cup and then give you the bread to eat the juice and the bread together. If you're gluten-free, there's gluten-free bread and a cup for you. And if you're uncomfortable with receiving communion that way, still, there are little packages of that you can take individually and serve yourself that way. Everyone is welcome today, so come. The bread and cup of love and compassion. The bread and juice of love and compassion. The bread and wine of love and compassion for you. So as we prepare to go into the rest of our week and our lives, there's a couple of things I want to share for the community together today. First of all, if you want to know more about our missional communities, there is a QR code on the table behind Dick back there that you can scan and fill out a short form, and Kathy will get back with you about that. There's also a QR code for online giving if you want to use credit card or checking account through PayPal. You don't have to have a PayPal account, but it uses PayPal. And then there's a cash box for any other cash and checks that you might have. I wanted to let you know earlier and forgot Nita Douglas isn't with us today. Usually is with our kids because John is sick and has a fever. We want to pray, just remember them in this time, and others that are on our hearts we know of that are not well or going through difficult times. Next Sunday is our Out on Mission Sunday. So I keep doing that. I'm messing that up. We're going out on mission on Saturday. And this evening, you should get in your email a very easy form that you can let us know, let me know, and then I'll let Kathy know through that form. If you are planning on going to New Life Furniture on the 26th from 10 to noon, so that we can let them know how many to expect and that we have enough of us to meet what needs they have that day. Also then, excuse me, on the 27th, we will meet here at 10:30, and we will be assembling care packages, everything provided already. You just show up. Care packages for ICU nurses at the Westchester Hospital. There are 42 nurses. We'll be assembling packages for them, writing cards of care and support for them. And then we have another small project too for Family Promise, which used to be Interfaith Hospitality Network, that kids can join in, and anyone else who just has time to do that. Kathy, you want to say any more about that? No? Okay, we'll send something out. It's a change jar. They're collecting change for school supplies, I think, for their families, which of course they'll use later in the year. But and also then we'll be praying with and for healthcare workers. There's a friend of mine who is the chaplain at Westchester is going to send a video. We invited him to be here, but he can't. He's going to send a video that of just talking about their experience during this time. And then we'll take communion together. We'll receive communion together. So that's coming up. I'm going to ask you to stand as we go today and join with me in the benediction that's you'll see behind me. So as you go into the rest of this week, be brave because you are a child of God, and be kind because so is everyone else. Amen. Blessings.
Lay down your